Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction, or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application, and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in Pledge Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we begin, there is one adjournment on our agenda tonight, application 22-160, property located in Copeg, Gale Grace LLC. Is there anybody here on that application? Okay, that's being adjourned to the next meeting, which is October the 13th. Okay, help me. Got that part. Shirazi? I'll go with that. Next first application is application 22-156 of Naz Shirazi. Come on up. Need your name and address for the record?
Naz Shirazi, 191 Young Street, West Babylon, New York, 11704.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 23rd, 2022, environmental control memo dated September 28, 2022. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Michael Minto dated May 4th, 2022, tax map acting as an area map, and?
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 photographs.
Okay, would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes.
What are you looking to do at your property?
Nothing there was, the shed was there when I bought the property. It was already there. They said it's very close to the borderline. So I want to keep it the same way it is, the shed.
Okay. I'll turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
And when did you purchase the property? What year?
What year? Was 1972. I bought the property is 2013.
Okay, and the rear deck was back there as well, or you constructed that?
No, I did not construct that.
It was there?
It was already there, yeah.
Okay. Why are you having routine inspections?
For the permit for the upstairs,
So you
and
plan,
also want to finish the basement.
so the accessory apartment will be in the basement?
No.
It'll be upstairs?
No, upstairs.
Oh,
And I was applying for to finish the basement.
okay. So they came in and they noticed the
Yeah.
structures?
They
Okay.
checked and they said, oh, okay, the shed is very close. So I bought the property that I didn't construct
Make any
that.
alterations?
No.
Okay. Do you agree to not further to enclose the deck? Do you agree to not enclose it?
Not,
You will not enclose it?
not to knock it down, I mean.
No.
What do you mean? I don't-
To make a cover over it, you will not cover it?
Put walls
anything
or
around
do?
it?
No.
You will not?
No.
And if the shed ever is to be removed or moved, you'll have it in a conforming location? If you ever move the shed? You don't have to right now, but if you
Okay.
ever do? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
if I have to, yeah.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, how many front doors do you have?
2.
And what's the purpose of them?
One, the second floor, it's a separate apartment. I have a permit for that.
For the apartment you have?
Yeah, it's apartment. It's a legal by permit apartment.
And you have 2 front doors?
Yeah,
And you purchased the property with those?
yes.
Okay.
And no habitable space in the basement? No one's going to live in the basement?
No.
You agree to that?
No,
Okay.
no.
It's just for
Just
recreation?
to hang out, my son computer there, is just
Okay.
using like for
Okay.
homework and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail.
Okay.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll call it anyway, just in case somebody else is here. Next application is application 22-157 of Joseph Mazzarato. Massaro. Property located in Deer Park? Okay. All right, we'll recall that one. Next application is application 22-159 of Kenneth D. Ambramo? Property located in Lindenhurst. D. Ambro, I had it.
Hello.
Name and address for the record.
Kenneth D'Abramo, 1 East Belterre Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 23rd, 2022, environmental control memo dated September 28th, 2022. There are a couple of items on here that should have been a copy. Did you pick up paperwork before you?
No, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Number 3. So page 2 of that is Department of Environmental Control memo. There are some conditions that they are recommending there. There is survey by Barrett, Bonucci, and Van Weel dated November 11th, 2020. Tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, we have 3 photographs.
okay, and also before we begin, we do not have Suffolk County planning on this particular application, so we will not be able to move it this evening, but we're going to continue with the application. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Well, we're going 7 feet over the requirement on the detached garage. Is that what you have?
Yes.
Okay. So I've been living in the town of Babylon for my whole life. So, and then I bought this house back in 2006, and we completely demolished the house that was there and built a brand-new house. My architect made a design for the garage to match the house, the detached garage, and that's what we're looking to put up. And it matches the 12-12 pitch roof line of the house design. I have photos if anybody wants to see what.
You can submit them if you like. We'll
Sure.
take a look at them.
All right, so so the design was to match the house in question. If you look at it, it's a thorough, it's a look of a postmodern colonial type with a 12-12 pitch steep roof. So we wanted the garage to match that. And basically, the main reason is the house is on the water, and it does flood occasionally. So we just want to make sure we have like a big area to put storage. There's no basements in the house over there. So that's the main reason for it. So
Okay, anything else?
I thought there was somebody that was protesting, and my neighbors are here, so I'd like to hear what they have to say before I go on to rebuttal.
We'll bring them up after, but just don't go away.
Okay, do you want me to?
Yeah, no,
All right,
stay
so
for a second.
anyway, it's just a design. It's going to have storage. There's no basements in these houses. And I think it'll make the area look beautiful, the whole house, and then the landscaping is going to go right after the garage is in, because the garage that was there was built prior to COs, and we got to get rid of it. So we're going to demolish that and put up a new garage in a new spot, and I think it's going to make a world of difference.
Okay, turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigner.
Okay.
You could, sir, you could stay there.
No, stay there. Yeah.
I'm new with this.
It's okay.
Okay.
So the garage that's existing is going to be demoed and removed?
Yes.
Okay. if you look at the memorandum that you just picked up, at the bottom, planning is opposed to the height. The height is way too high.
It's 7 feet too high.
Is there anything in your neighborhood, as far as detached garage, that seems to appear that high? Is there anything in
Well,
the neighborhood?
the house, oh, the neighborhood? Yeah, there's a couple, but they're older houses. I can get addresses and take pictures and send them in.
Garage?
Yeah, garage, yeah. Detached
Is it a
garage, but they were
detached
older houses. It wasn't newly built. Like, this is a 15-year-old house, basically.
Yeah,
So,
21 feet high detached garage?
well, the house itself,
No,
Right
in the
now.
neighborhood, that's
all
what
right,
it says.
in the neighborhood, yes, I've seen a couple of, well, I drove around and just kind of looked for it. So they're there, but like I said, that was probably done a long time ago. Maybe, the houses look like they were 40 to 50 years old. So I understand the issue that you're having. It's being 7 feet too high, but it's really different in this area because I'm on the water, and there's flooding, and there's no basements, so I don't have any storage. It's a 3,200 square foot house, so I'd like to have a possibility of storage. Yeah, I'd like to have the storage on the second floor that I need. And if we, I guess, go down to 14 feet, like, I don't think,
That's code, that's maximum height, unfortunately. 21 feet is asking a lot.
all right, so I don't know,
I mean, is there any way that your architect could redesign that for you? Try to
Yes.
keep the same roof line and everything that you're looking for?
he can
just-
redesign it, it just
meet
won't
that
be,
height?
it wasn't my idea, it was his. But now I have to go back to him and have redrawings done, I guess, to specifications, and I don't think it's asking a lot, but I guess,
Well, it's
He's asking a lot.
it is.
I guess
We
you
don't-
disagree.
We don't approve them.
All
We
right.
don't approve much over 14 feet, no
That's
less
not what he
21.
said, okay. It wasn't my idea, it was his, so now I gotta go
No,
back.
It's,
fine,
no,
that's-
no, no. it's
that's
not
why
that,
you're
you know,
here.
That's why.
Yeah, I know. I don't, and like the height of the roof for the house is 32 feet. So I just, in proportion, it seems like it's a little bit less. I guess you don't want to hear me repeat myself, right?
You might want to stop talking.
I'll stop now before it goes down to 10 feet. All right. Any other questions for me? No?
Yeah, okay. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Okay, come on up. I'll take you guys were here first. Want to have a seat? Please. Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need any of this. Need your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Richard Carlson, 9 East Belter Avenue. I have pictures of what it would look like if he built it 21 foot high. I'm the neighbor that's protesting this. You want me to bring
You
him
wanna
up?
take 'em? Yeah, just-
This is my back door.
You have to go back by the mic. We're recording, so.
Okay, that's looking out my back door, and just figure what 21-foot roof would look like, and you'd see roof. And the other one was down the side of my garage, and in a good rain, or a good snow, I wouldn't be able to access my firewood or walk through a flood. That's pretty much what I'm protesting. It's 21 feet is,
You wouldn't have any objection to the 14-foot height, which is,
well, that's what he's got now,
Okay.
And it's right behind his house, and I can see why he wants to get rid of that thing, because the previous owner had it, and it was ready to fall apart back then, before he passed away. And he's going to move it over, he's going to move it over. There's nothing I can say about that, because it's his right to move it over
your only objection is the height.
to the height. 21 feet is as high as my house. Because I live in a converted bungalow, and I've been there for 46 years. But if he's going to move it over, he's within his rights to move it over. But 21 feet is a little outrageous.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? Name and address for the record, please.
Peter Clausen, 12 East Clearwater Road, Lindenhurst.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Pardon me?
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I live, my backyard, Richie's backyard, and Lou's backyard is the house we're working about. They all meet. I have no problem with a 14-foot garage. He has a garage now. I don't know why he doesn't tear that down and rebuild it in that place.
He is.
21 foot, I can't agree with. I've been living at my house for 50 years. I've known Richie and Lynn, his wife, for 47 years. We enjoy looking at the canal, enjoy watching the boats go up and down, but if he puts a 20-foot one garage in there, I will not be able to see it from any point in my house. So that's basically where I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Yes. Hello. My name is Irene Diabramo. That's my brother, Ken Diabramo. I just wanted to mention...
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I promise to tell the truth.
I need your name and address.
Irene Diabramo. I live right now in Stony Brook, 24 College Drive in Stony Brook.
Okay.
I am here just to support my brother, and just to mention that he has also said that he's lived in Babylon all of these years. His friend and he bought the house in 2006. They admired the neighborhood. It's beautifully maintained, and he enjoyed the peaceful community. Unfortunately, the home and the garage that they were looking at was not maintained. It was dilapidated, and it was not usable. So he had an architect draw up another plan and used quite a lot of money to have that done, him and his friend who also lives there. He emphatically told the architect that he needed to make sure that this would complement the neighborhood and also make it so that the neighbors could still have the view that they had. As I said before, the project was costly. Then Hurricane Sandy hit, and the shed or the garage that you see in those pictures didn't maintain any of their things that were in there, as well as everyone else in the neighborhood. So the garage remained deteriorated, and I think one of the neighbors mentioned that it is an eyesore to the community. But in order to have that done, they need to budget their budget. It's over budget, and now is the time that they're going to try to get that fixed. But he may have to go back to the architect. Is there any leeway between 14 and 21? No, that's it. Okay. And that's in the code? Okay,
That's the
great.
code, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look at
That's
that.
definitely the code.
Okay. So I guess the practicality is also that his roommate has macular degeneration, and he's getting more. He needs more and more help. They really have nowhere to put the tools or any of those things. So if they have two cars in the driveway, in the garage, I mean, I don't know where they would be able to put the things that they need, because there is, as Kenny had mentioned, no attic or basement. All the neighbors in the neighborhood after Sandy have built their houses higher, as I'm sure you all know. So having room on the second floor would help with storage, because they don't have that at all. And basically, the neighbors are wonderful, and we don't want any problems with them, but that's really what we're requesting, why we're here. So, thank you for your time.
No problem. Anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. My suggestion is that you go back to the architect, and he should have known what the code is. Okay? And yeah, we're still waiting on Suffolk County Planning before we can do anything anyway. Keep in contact with the zoning board, and let us know what your, plans are, all right?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Where are we going here? Next application is application 22-153 of Daniel Russo, property located in Amity Harbor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the applicant, Joseph F. Buzzell, Blander and Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated September 23rd, 2022. A approval on August 2nd, 2012, at 118 Western Concourse. There's 3 pages of minutes from that same application at 118 Western Concourse, application 12043. There are written findings in regards to that application dated March 29th, 2012. There is a letter that was sent out based on that same application to the neighbors. There's an environmental control memo on this application dated September 28th, 2022. We would also need Suffolk County planning on this particular application before we can move it. There's a survey by William Hogan dated January 19th, 2021. Tax map acting as an area map. And?
Chairman, we have 8 photographs.
Okay. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you. The application seeks a single variance in connection with constructing a new single-family home. The property is located at 118 Western Concourse in Amity Harbor. It is on the east side of the street, all the way at the end. It is literally the last block on the street. It's at the tip of the peninsula. It's surrounded by water on 3 sides. To the south is the Great South Bay. Behind is the Amity Harbor Canal, and across Western Concourse is also the Great South Bay. The site is 10,640 square feet, zoned Residence C. The flood zone line actually runs right through this property at a slightly odd angle. Some of the property is AE7. Most of the property is VE9, which is very unusual. It is, to the best I can tell, it's the only VE9 lot in the town on the north side of the bay. All the other lots are on the barrier islands. On August 2nd of 2012, this board approved the application of Frank and Mindy Matarana, that ZBA 1243, which is attached to the Planning Division memo. That application sought to take down a then-existing house and build a new single-family home. There were 2 variances sought. 1 to increase height from 30 feet to 34 feet, 1 for 2 front doors. At that time, height was a very sensitive issue and it was a complicated application, but the board did approve it. 6 weeks later, Hurricane Sandy arrived, and Hurricane Sandy completely took the house that was there away. There was a house on that property when I did the hearing. After Sandy, it was a vacant lot. I went to the lot, I remember it vividly. There was nothing there but the concrete block foundation at the ground level. The house was completely gone.
This approval was before Sandy that you're speaking.
Just before, a few months before. which was why it was complicated at that time. I think there was not a very clear understanding of flood codes, and it wasn't simply Babylon, it was everywhere. We had them, but for the hurricanes we had in the past, we never really had any event like it. Let's hope we never have another event like Sandy again. Whole neighborhoods were flooded, homes were destroyed, many were damaged. This house was completely taken away. After Sandy, however, the Mataramas, for reasons I am unaware, never developed the property. The reason the building permit was voided was because they never built anything. They decided not to pursue the property, but at that point I was not representing them. And eventually the applicant acquired the property. It's his intention to build a new home for himself and his family. It's a single variance, height increased from 30 feet to 31.187, that's it. It meets everything else. The height variance is lower than the Matarana house, which was at 34 feet, which the board approved. This house has only one front door. The Matarana approval had two. The variance is for about 1 feet, 2 1/4 inches. That's clearly de minimis. It's not going to affect any adjacent property. Again, it only has one adjacent property. To the south is the bay, to the rear is the canal, on the other side of that is Tanner Park, and across Western Concourse, again, is the bay. The flood zone has required it, as it did in Matarana. Matarana, of course, was a stick-built house. It was about 3 feet higher. My client has gathered a number of signatures on a petition, which includes the house which is immediately adjacent next door, the only adjacent house, and has informed me that several of the signatories are involved in the local civic association. I would like to turn that up. So again, it's a single variance. It's 1 foot, 2 1/4 inches, which is less than the 34 feet approved by this board in 2012. It is a positive development for what is now a vacant lot. It will be an improvement to this property. It will be an improvement to the area, and it only has one front door. I've spoken to my client, and he consents to all the covenants and restrictions and consents to all the conditions outlined in the Planning Department memo. I won't read them because that would be voluminous.
Okay, I turn the hearing over to Mr. Dellavecchia.
So over the past 10 years, we've gotten stricter with the height variances, as you see in the last application.
Well, that was a garage.
Yeah, it's still a height variance, either way.
I mean, I would say the strictest height variances were pre-Sandy.
No, the strictest height variances are after Sandy.
I mean, I've been...
We have not given up the height, hardly at all, as far as I can remember. We went very strict on the variances after Sandy, based on the fact that these houses were going up quite a bit to begin with, because they were, you had to meet the flood zone and all of that, so they were going up 7 or 8 feet, and then you were getting 30 feet on top of that. So we've been very strict with the variances since then. So my question, and I don't want to cut Mr. Dellavecchio off, but my question is, why can't it be 30 feet instead of 31 and whatever it is, almost 32?
Look, it's 1 foot, 2 1/4 inches. Matarana was approved at 34. And also look at this particular lot. There is only one house next to it. That owner has consented. It is water on 3 sides. It is not going to be out of line with other houses on the block. There's only one. And it's not going to interfere with anybody's view. The Matarana, again, was a stick-built house that went to 34.
I think we're talking apples and oranges at the end of the day, and I think that my question is, why can't we keep it at 30 feet on a brand-new building?
The issue isn't the one adjacent house, it's setting a precedent in the whole neighborhood that now the board approved one house, now a lot of other people will go and ask.
I would argue that the precedent was set in 2012 at 34 feet. It was, and it was a very, very contentious application at the time. You know, I mean, you're also talking about just the top peak of the roof here.
Again, back to my original question is, why can't we get it to 30?
Let me bring the builder up.
Name and address for the record.
I promise to tell the truth. My name is Brian Drazen. My company's Next Generation Modular Homes. We're located in Farmingdale, New York.
Confirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do. Okay. This is a modular home, and it's taken us a very long time to get to this point. There are two issues with changing the roof pitch, if that's what you're asking. Why can't it be lower? One, it would take about a $5,000 bill, and it would also take another 6 months to get the drawings back from New York State. That's how backed up they are from the modular companies, okay? The reason why we are asking for the foundation to be 8 feet is because there's an elevator in the house. Mr. Russo has a medical issue with his back and cannot take a lot of stairs, which is why we designed it that way in the first place. So that's basically why we can't change the plans. We can change the plans. The problem is it's going to take another 6, 7 months, and then to have to go through all this again, you know, with the way the prices keep going up and down, it's going to be very cost prohibitive.
So before all the plans were done and all the designing was done, did anybody look into what was going to be the issues as far as a height variance or any other variance or any other condition?
Yeah, we met every other condition that the town asked us to meet. We moved doors, we did everything. It's Energy Star, it's sprinklered, everything is all done according to the town's approvals. The only thing that was left was the height. And again, because of the elevator, we need the 8 foot on the ground, I call it the ground level.
So you're telling me the foundation is 8 feet, like from ground level to where the house starts, the first floor?
It'll be to the top of the sill plates.
Right.
Is 8
Okay.
feet.
So we're measuring the 30 feet from there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm not sure why that makes a difference with the elevator. And I'm not an architect and...
Well, the elevator has to go up 1 story, which is 8 feet. Otherwise, if the foundation was 7 feet to meet the height restriction, it'd be it'd be sticking up to the first floor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would also say on the issue of precedent, this is the only lot in this flood zone that's privately owned in the entire town. Any other lot that's in the VE zone is on the barrier islands, as is in public ownership. It's either the town, the state, or the county. So whatever this board does on this application can clearly be distinguished from anything else. Also, I think the precedent runs in their favor. There was a variance on this site, pre-Sandy or not.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? The record, there are none. Okay, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to, well, first of all, we need Suffolk County planning before we do anything.
Correct.
All right, which hopefully we'll get by next meeting. All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I wasted a lot of time, sorry. Next application is application 22-154 of Multi-Brands Copeg. This is Dunkin' Donuts, property located in Copeg.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Diana Prevette. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Albanese & Albanese, 1050 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, New York. I'm here representing the applicant.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 23rd, 2022. Environmental Control memo dated September 28th, 2022. mentions in here about wetlands and stuff, that you should have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I guess this is a site plan. It is undated and unsigned, but it also shows well, there's a date on here of June 8th, 2022. It also shows what appears to be the sign variances that you are requesting.
Yes.
Tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, there's 8 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Okay. As I said, I'm here representing Multi-Brands Copeg Operating Company, LLC, which is Dunkin'. They'll be occupying this newly constructed building, which contains approximately 2,670 square feet and has a drive-through for the Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight with me is Jeff Polizotto, who's a member of the applicant. He's also a member of the owner of the property. He's going to operate the Dunkin'. And I have with me Ted Ead of TP Signs, who's the sign installer, who has some boards with photos of the actual building. The applicant's requesting variances to install 2 additional wall signs, one on the east wall, one on the west wall. The variance there is section 213-400A because only 1 sign is permitted on each wall. There's a total of 5 wall signs, so there's a variance required for that as well. Only 4 wall signs are permitted. And then we are requesting a variance for 1 ground sign, Dunkin' drive-through pylon sign, and also 1 ground sign for a preview board through the drive-through. Only 1 ground sign is permitted, and the site will have a total of 3 ground signs. As the board knows, buildings on Montauk Highway. On the east is South Bay Motel. On the west is Pine Lawn Avenue. We do have photos. If Mr. Ead can just hold those up as I'm speaking. As the board knows, this is an e-business zoning district. Little history, this parcel was previously developed with a city tire operation. And across the street is Bravo Window and Door Supply. It's a little bit diagonally across. On the other side of Pine Lawn Road is Carvel. Mr. Polizotto operates 21 other Dunkin' Baskin-Robbins stores throughout Suffolk County. He has been an operator for approximately 20 years, so he has a lot of experience. The owner of the property has invested $1.5 million to basically clean up the site, take down the old building, and we think develop it in a very aesthetically pleasing manner with a nice new building and improve the subject property greatly. We believe that we need these variances for the 2 ground signs because, as you know, Montauk Highway is 40 miles per hour. The larger Dunkin' drive-through sign is needed to identify the actual location of Dunkin' to cars traversing on Montauk Highway. It also gives the actual location of where you can go in for the drive-through. The other smaller ground sign, which is the preview board, that's necessitated by the fact that because you have a drive-through, the preview board comes up first on the drive-through as the cars are going through. They can decide, someone who's going there to buy Dunkin' can decide what they want before they hit the actual menu board and the speaker. So it keeps the cars moving so that there's no backup of cars. The 2 wall signs essentially are part of Dunkin's national branding. The one on the east says Copeg Dunkin', and the one on the west says something fresh is always brewing. Essentially, these are the signs that are generally part of Dunkin's branding, and this was rolled out about 2 years ago. It was delayed slightly because of COVID, but this is, if you look around, you'll see most of the Dunkins are being renovated to have this type of branding with these types of signs. The preview ground sign is only 11 square feet. It's got LED interior lights. The large pylon Dunkin' drive-through sign is 40 square feet. It's 14 feet high, but it meets the code as far as size and height. That, again, is internally illuminated. It's double-faced. It has LED lights. And the two wall signs on the east and the west walls are PVC pin-mounted letters. The one on the east is only 20 square feet, and the one on the west is 24 square feet. They are not illuminated. Any illumination is going to just come from building lighting in the evenings, and you'll have the light directed downward towards those signs. So there's no illumination in that. Just to go through quickly the elements for variances, we believe that there's a benefit to the applicant, but really no detriment to the community. This is a commercial area. There are numerous signs on the other commercial establishments there. There are other buildings that also have two wall signs. I believe the Bravo Window and Door has it, and also the motel has two wall signs on one of the walls. We don't believe that there'll be any undesirable change produced in the neighborhood by virtue of granting these variances. Again, you know, it is a commercial area. It's not facing any residential area for any of these signs. There's really no feasible method other than the two ground signs. They can't be placed on walls in order to do their job. So we believe that there's no feasible method other than the variances for the two ground signs. We don't believe that these variances are substantial. Although we are asking for variances for the number of signs, we believe that if you look at it, you have to look at the whole picture and make sure that even though you're granting an additional 4 signs, it's not going to have a detriment to the community, and we don't believe that there will be a detriment. As far as adverse effect or impact on physical or environmental conditions, the variances are an unlisted action under CEQA. We don't believe that the only impact could possibly be some visual impact on the environment. We don't believe that these signs are going to create any, you know, real deficit. They're not going to throw off a lot of light on adjoining properties. Although the board may see these as self-created difficulties, as the board knows, you know, with area variances, the fact that it's a self-created difficulty is not a basis for denying the variances. So if the board has no questions, that's basically our case. If I can't answer any questions, Mr. Palazzotto is here also.
I'll turn hearing over to Mr. Dellavecchia.
What would the hours of operation be? 24/7 or no?
24?
Yes?
Yes, it's 24 hours,
Okay.
as most Dunkins are.
Then, do you know if the Bravo Lumber or the motel has variances for their two wall signs?
I do not know, no. I basically just did a visual to see that where they had wall signs that were on one wall.
I understand the need for basically all of the signs except for the two, I guess, new ones that Dunkin' implemented 2 years ago. The Always Fresh and the Copeg Dunkin'. I go to Dunkin' a lot personally. You know, I went to the one right here on Sunrise before the meeting, and I didn't see anything that said West Babylon Dunkin' on the wall.
Yeah, you know, I understand what you're saying. It is part of their national branding. It's a relatively new branding technique that they use.
Almost.
You can put them down, it's okay.
The signs are not large and they're not illuminated, so that's why we believe that they're really not going to have an adverse effect. They're only 20 and 24 square feet.
So then what signs will be illuminated? The one to the east, the big sign?
The big sign is double-faced, internally illuminated LED, and the preview board, which is set down low so you can see it from your car as you're pulling up, is also illuminated internally. It's LED.
And then also the menu one when you get up to the speakers?
Yes, it has
So
to be
those are the only
illuminated.
3 that are illuminated?
Yes, sure. This is Mr. Eid. He's the sign installer.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ted Ead from TP Signs, 470 South Franklin Street, Hempstead, New York, 11550.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do. The image, the new image that they came up with a year and a half ago, which is now is finally being implemented, being that everything is back to normal. Has these new concepts. We've done them in the city, we've done them in Nassau County. It's the new look. So what you've seen is probably has not come up. Every 10 years, a Dunkin' Donuts has to, by their contract, if I'm not mistaken, must renovate their units. This happens to be new construction, so we have to abide by the old and new look. And to your question about the illumination, there's one sign facing east, which is just a DD. The sign facing west is DD, that's also internally illuminated channel letters. The sign facing south on Montauk Highway has the Dunkin', and then it has the Baskin Robbins. That's really the only sign that's illuminated on the building. The pylon sign, obviously, as you know, 90% of pylon signs are illuminated. The drive-through, you have the preview board, which is a TV monitor screen, and the new, as you asked for the canopy with the menu board, that's the double illuminate. No more of what we'll call the static, which is the old style. So everything has been changed now to television. Just as you know, you go to any fast food now, they're all doing the same thing with drive-throughs. Then obviously we have the directionals, the enter-exit. It's really, and everything was already, I believe, pre-approved when they went for the zoning and everything originally.
Well, not the sign.
Not the signage, but it was already all on the plans that it was part of it all with the construction. Any other questions? Please. I'm sorry about this falling down.
Don't worry about it.
It ruined the whole thing.
So that's our basic case. You know, if there are no other questions, we'd respectfully request that the board grant the variances.
Okay, I got a question. Has nothing to do with this application. Are you guys closing the other Dunkin' Donuts? It's a little bit to the west.
Yes. We own that one also. It's got no drive-through, so it's got to go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That was my only question. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. You good? Yeah, give him.
I make a motion to approve application 22-154 for a period of 5 years.
All in favor? Aye. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
It's out of whack. This is the one, the carryover. Huh? Is number 2 here? All right, yeah, we skipped over this in the beginning, so we'll recall it now. Application 22157, property located in Deer Park. No? Name and address for the record.
Joe Massaro, 15 Deer Park Boulevard, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
Okay, you do affirm to tell the truth?
Sure.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 23rd, 2022, environmental control memo dated September 28, 2022. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by William T. Hogan dated April 14, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. And
Chairman, we have 3 photographs.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
You guys, the application is for my shed, for my lean-to, and I think my basement entrance that you guys told me that I needed to get a variance for.
Okay, we know what it's for. Do you want to tell us about it, or we want us to just ask questions?
What do you want to know? It's a shed, it's a lean-to that I put cushions in, and it's an entrance to get in and out of my house.
Okay. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Correcchia.
Did you read the planning memos that they provided for you from the planning department?
Briefly.
Briefly, okay. Is there any way of reducing any structures, make maybe that lean-to, we could break the lot coverage a little less?
There's really no room on my property. It's not taking up much space. My neighbors aren't complaining about anything. I've been living there for 20-plus years, and I know all the neighbors, and everybody's good.
Okay. I noticed today that your trucks and your equipment are parked on your driveway, commercial vehicles.
Yeah, it is.
They're really not allowed to be
Where I
parked there.
parked the truck, they're paving it, so it was just there for this week. It'll be gone by the end of the weekend.
So normally they're not? you
No,
don't-
they're not there.
Okay, very good. There's no way of cutting back any lot coverage?
Does that mean what, make the shed smaller?
No, or maybe take the lean-to down or something to that effect?
I would prefer not to.
Okay? If any of your patio structures or the structures on the property were be taken down or removed or rebuilt, would you consent to rebuilding them in a conforming location?
If we ever had to rebuild it,
Correct.
sure.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 22-157 with the conditions that if the accessory structures are ever taken down, they be rebuilt in a conforming location, and that all commercial vehicles are going to be removed from the premises.
That's fine.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you, have a good night.
So,
Yes. Is it? Next application is application 22-152 of Loyola Aguilar, property located in North Babylon. Name and address for the record, please.
Robert Ramirez, 990 Motor Parkway, Central Island, New York, 11722. I am the agent working with Mrs. Loida Aguilar.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated September 15, 2022, environmental control memo dated September 20th, 2022. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Vincent Tanico. That's good. Dated October 28, 2000, last dated November 22nd, 2021. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 3 photographs.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, I am asking permission for a variance to diminish the north side yard from 12 feet to 4.8, the roof over deck, the rear patio. Number 2, diminish south side yard from 12 to 7.3, and the basement egress window. Number 3, diminish total side yard from 30 feet to 12.1. And number 4, increase total building area from 20% to 28.74% over 657.79 square feet. That's what we are asking to grant it.
Okay, turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Let me start with, what brings you here tonight?
Where is?
What started this? What initiated this? Well, how come you're here?
Okay, we are legalizing because the roof of the rear patio was built without permit. We are trying to get the permit for that.
And you just got caught, or you just wanted are you selling it or something, or?
No.
So why did you just went to town hall to legalize it?
We want to legalize that and legalize the basement, and we are we have also garage conversion for to apply for accessory apartment there.
Okay, all right. All right. I'm just going to read you here what planning has to say. I'm going to ask you if you agree to it or not. If approved, with condition that the basement be used for recreation room only.
Yes.
No sleeping quarters or cooking facilities as per applicant's plans.
Yep.
And that you agree to move the sheds to relocating the sheds to a conforming location.
Okay.
It's a
yes.
mouthful, I'm sorry. You agree to all of that?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Good.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 22-152, and with the condition that these sheds be moved to a conforming location.
Okay, that's fine.
The basement only be used for recreation.
Yes. The other.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye. Marco?
Okay, good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed night.
Jude.
Yeah. Live from New York. Thursday night.
He's getting denied. He's getting denied, that's for sure. 10 years ago this, 10 years ago that. 10 years ago, I was freaking picking up sandy debris, okay?
Good evening, members of the board. Pamela Green, Office of the Town Attorney. Did the board wish to revisit any of tonight's applications or move on to the extension of time?
I just want to go back to number one for a second. So do we have to do something about the two front doors?
I believe we need to see if it was on the plans.
The other two, all of this, we need Suffolk County planning to review them.
Correct, which would bring you to 5, extension of time. It's the first one. Property is located in Deer Park.
Chairman, I make a motion on application 22-035 for an extension of time 6 months.
Second.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go through the remainder, see what updates we have. Moving on to page 7, Roll Right Towing still remains adjourned, waiting for both variance and the sign application to be heard together. Page 8, Patterson Brothers, a site inspection that was scheduled for today was canceled. We're hoping to have it take place next week. Moving on to page 9, the top application is 22-077. If you would please look at item number 2 in your correspondence. You have a letter from the Ceylons. With some history.
That's what we wanted.
So they did amend their floor plans? Yes. Okay. The planning memo said that the planning department opposed the relief for the increase in area of the driveway in the front yard. It did have previous ZBA approval from 2015, where the board allowed them to legalize an existing rear deck with stairs, side addition, side porch, and shed. However, at the time, the garage conversion, the increase in the building area, and the increase in the driveway area were not addressed. So I believe at the time of the hearing, the applicant was saying that this had been an existing condition for quite some time, since they expanded the driveway to accommodate the off-street parking for the accessory apartment. Is that your recollection as well? Israeli? Property is located in West Babylon.
Of course it is. I thought you said I had it easy today. All right, I mean, the letter touched my heart. Does that count for anything? Yeah, it's not too excessive. All right, so yeah, I'm fine with it.
I don't believe there were any proposed conditions.
All right, do I have to recall it, or?
No, it's on the agenda.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve application 22-077.
Thank you. Moving on to the bottom of page 9, Joanne McGinnis is still requesting more time. Moving on to page 10, Central Irrigation Supply needs new plans. Moving on to page 11, the application is Oscar Madrano, and that needs to be re-advertised. So I believe it can come off the agenda since it needs to be re-advertised, correct? But it doesn't need to stay on the agenda if it's going to be re-advertised. Correct? Ah, okay. Thank you. Moving on then to the bottom of page 11, the application is DPA Restoration Services. And please look in your correspondence for item number 4, a memo from planning to advise that revised plans were received. The Planning Department recommends that if the application is approved, there be conditions imposed that the 6-foot-high slatted chain link fence along West First Street is to be repaired and replaced. And the second condition is that there would be no storage of vehicles awaiting repair in the designated spaces for employees or customers. And that item number 2, variance number 2, be amended to read, allow outdoor storage of vehicles awaiting repair in the rear and side yard as per site plan. Property is located in Deer Park.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve application 20...
Excuse me, just would the board like to adopt the amendment as per planning first?
I was going to add that in on the
Okay.
approval.
It's good.
But, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to adopt the amendment of 22-134, dated September 27, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion. We approve application 22-134 as amended for a period of 3 years
And imposing the conditions.
and imposing the conditions set forth about the chain link fence.
Thank you, Mr. Vice
Others.
Chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman. Moving on to page 12, we are still waiting to get some insights from DPW about the proposed location of the curb cut on this application, but Ms. Riley advises that new plans were submitted today that have not been looked at. So we'll see what they say. We will continue to ask the board to hold the BOLA application on page 13 to allow discussions to continue regarding the height of the sign. And moving on to page 14, Rena Ramirez. This was held over from the hearing last week. In the planning memo, there was prior ZBA approval granted in 2001 to allow for a diminished rear yard from 30 to 17 feet. Planning was concerned that the addition lent itself to an accessory apartment and asked why was there a need for such a large additional lot coverage. And also during the hearing, you heard the applicant share proposed plans for a kitchen on the second floor. So I defer to Mr. Dellavecchia as to his recollection and direction.
Yeah, he said he's not applying for an accessory apartment, but why else would you put another kitchen on your second floor? They did apply for one? But they need us to approve it first before they can approve that? Yeah, I don't think they applied until after I said something. I'll make a motion to approve application 22-147. Second?
You said it.
All in favor?
Thank you. Moving on to page 15, the application is 22-150. If you would please look in your correspondence, item number 3 is a letter from the architect with additional information regarding the request for the 8-foot-high garage door height. So item number 3 will share lots of details about
Sharing lots of details, but he's sharing them all with vehicles, vans that are commercial because they have high roofs and so on and so forth. So these are not, even this one here where it is, it's not a typical van. These are commercial for the most part.
Do the owners own any of these vans?
Hey, had one with ladder straps on it. Dealer plates. Had himself. Dealer plates.
Does he possess a wheelchair or a handicapped vehicle? He has a need for that?
that wasn't given in testimony at the time.
So then this doesn't pertain then?
The planning memo also recommended that if it were to be approved, there'd be a condition imposed that the detached garage be used for storage only, no heating or plumbing permitted. Property is located in Amityville.
So I will make a motion to approve variances 1, 2, and 3, and to deny number 4 and refer to council for findings, and make a condition on the approval that these garage used for storage only.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the bottom of page 15, Stanley Gilpin, we're waiting for plans for a smaller house, which brings us to our last page of the agenda. All of your correspondence has been addressed, which leads you to accepting the minutes of September 15th. Thank you, Ms. Schneider.
Mr. Chairman, making a motion to accept the minutes of September 15, 2022.
Thank you, which leaves you to review this week's minutes, and that concludes. I don't believe that's been the practice unless I'm mistaken. I believe approval addendums were just attached upon direction to the decision.
Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.